The deception unveiled. The message arrived through quantum channels on what humans called a Thursday morning. It materialized in the United Earth Defense Command headquarters, deep beneath the Swiss Alps, where Commander Elena Vasquez stood before a massive holographic display showing Earth's solar system. The formal declaration of war from the hegemonic collective bore the seals of 300 civilizations, each one technologically superior to humanity by conventional metrics. Lieutenant Chen approached with the translated document, his hands steady despite the magnitude of what he carried. Commander Vasquez, the collective has officially declared Earth a rogue planet. They demand immediate surrender and integration into their empire as a resource colony. The young officer paused, swallowing hard. They've given us 72 hours before their fleet arrives. Vasquez took the crystalline datapad and read through the elaborate declaration. The hegemonic collective cited humanity's repeated refusal to share their biological resources, their stubborn independence and their dangerous unpredictability as threats to galactic stability. She set down the pad and turned to face the command center, where dozens of officers watched her with a mixture of fear and anticipation. "Send a message to all hidden installations," she said, her voice carrying across the silent room. "Tell them the masquerade is over. Activate Protocol Minerva." The transformation began immediately. Across Earth's solar system, what appeared to be mining stations, research outposts, and commercial satellites began their metamorphosis. For 75 years, ever since the Vronak merchants had made first contact with humanity, Earth had been playing a careful game of deception. Every alien visitor had seen exactly what humanity wanted them to see. A species barely capable of interplanetary travel, struggling with primitive fusion reactors and chemical propulsion. The collective's military strategist, Supreme Admiral Korthax of the Zanari Empire, led the invasion fleet from his command dreadnought. His four eyes studied the tactical displays showing Earth's pitiful defenses. 23 orbital platforms, most of them converted cargo haulers. A handful of patrol vessels that still used reaction drives. The humans hadn't even developed proper energy shields. "This will be over within cycles," Korthax told his subordinates. "The humans have courage but no comprehension of true warfare. Their nuclear weapons are quaint relics. Their spacecraft move like wounded creatures through the void." His tentacles rippled with satisfaction. "Begin the approach, standard bombardment formation." The armada moved forward, 3,000 vessels strong, each one a masterpiece of military engineering from species that had been conquering worlds when Earth's ancestors were learning to use fire. They passed Jupiter's orbit, sensors detecting nothing but the usual electromagnetic noise from the gas giant's storms. Saturn offered no resistance. The outer planets remained silent. Then something unusual happened. The human moon, Earth's sole natural satellite, began to emit an energy signature unlike anything in the collective's databases. Cracks appeared across its surface, not from damage but from deliberate separation. The moon was opening. Admiral Korthax leaned forward, his four eyes widening. "What is happening? Enhance the sensors. Focus all arrays on the lunar surface." What emerged defied explanation. The moon hadn't been humanity's first extraterrestrial base as the galaxy believed. It had been completely hollow for 50 years, converted into the largest shipyard ever conceived. Thousands of vessels poured out, but these weren't the clunky metal boxes the aliens expected. These ships seemed to bend light around them, their hulls composed of materials that shifted between states of matter. Commander Vasquez appeared on every screen in the collective fleet, her expression calm and perhaps slightly amused. "Greetings, hegemonic collective. I am Commander Elena Vasquez of the true United Earth Fleet. Before you proceed with your invasion, there are some things you should understand about humanity." Behind her, displays showed the real extent of human development. Mars wasn't being terraformed for colonization. The entire planet had been converted into an automated weapons factory, its core hollowed out and replaced with fusion forges that had been producing warships for decades. The asteroid belt, which aliens had dismissed as a failed mining operation, was actually millions of independently operating combat drones, each one equipped with antimatter warheads. "You see," Vasquez continued, "when the Vronak made first contact, we realized something important. The galaxy saw us as primitives to be exploited or conquered. So we decided to let you keep believing that. Every trade delegation, every diplomatic mission, every cultural exchange was an intelligence-gathering operation. We studied your technologies, your strategies, your weaknesses. The human fleet moved with impossible coordination, each ship knowing exactly where to position itself. They didn't move like individual vessels, but like components of a single massive organism. The collective sensors struggled to maintain locks on ships that seemed to phase in and out of normal space. Korthax ordered his fleet to engage, but the first volleys of energy weapons simply passed through the human ships as if they weren't there. Return fire came in the form of projectiles that ignored shields entirely, passing through energy barriers as if they didn't exist and striking hull plating with devastating effect. 3 collective cruisers imploded within seconds. You assumed. Our technology was primitive because we still used physical projectiles and chemical reactions, Vasquez explained as the battle began in earnest. What you didn't realize was that we had learned to manipulate matter at the quantum level. Those aren't bullets. They're controlled singularities wrapped in exotic matter. Your shields are designed for energy weapons, not for weapons that exist, partially outside normal spacetime. The Europa revelation came next. Jupiter's moon, supposedly a research station studying theoretical marine biology beneath its ice, cracked open to reveal something that made even the battle-hardened collective forces pause. Humanity had been breeding something in those dark waters, but it wasn't marine life. Billions of microscopic machines poured into space, each one capable of disassembling matter at the molecular level and converting it into more of themselves. We call it the Gray Tide, Vasquez said conversationally as the swarm began consuming debris from destroyed collective ships, inspired by Earth's army ants but improved with nanotechnology. They're programmed to ignore biological matter, so your crews are safe. Your ships, however, are not. Admiral Korthax watched in horror as one of his escort frigates was reduced to its component atoms in less than 30 seconds. The gray cloud growing larger as it fed. He ordered a retreat to regroup but found his navigation systems failing. Every jump point, every hyperspace lane, every method of faster-than-light travel was being jammed by an interference pattern emanating from Earth itself. Oh, did I mention? Vasquez added with what could only be described as satisfaction. We've spent the last 75 years seeding the local space-time continuum with quantum inhibitors. You can't leave until we're finished talking. The turning of tides, the collective fleet found itself trapped in a sphere of distorted space approximately 2 light hours in diameter. Every attempt to breach the barrier resulted in ships being returned to their starting position, like insects, trapped in a cosmic bottle. Admiral Korthax's tactical genius, honed over centuries of conquest, was useless against an enemy that had rewritten the fundamental rules of engagement. Vasquez continued her transmission, now walking through a command center that looked nothing like the primitive facilities alien diplomats had been shown. Holographic displays showed real-time tactical data from across the solar system, processed by quantum computers that made the collective's best systems look like counting beads. Let me tell you about humanity, she said, her tone shifting to something more serious. We evolved on a death world. Every other species we've met comes from planets where life was easy, where cooperation came naturally, where conflict was an aberration. Earth tried to kill us every single day. Predators, diseases, natural disasters, ice ages, meteor impacts. We didn't just survive. We thrived on adversity. The human fleet began demonstrating capabilities that violated everything the collective knew about physics. Ships split into multiple versions of themselves, attacked from several positions simultaneously, then reconverged into a single vessel. Weapons fire traveled backward through time, striking targets moments before they were fired. The laws of causality seemed to be more like suggestions to the human forces. Captain Marcus Webb of the Earth vessel Prometheus provided commentary for his crew that was being broadcast on an open channel, whether intentionally or not. Korthax couldn't tell. Deploy temporal mines in grid pattern alpha. Set them for minus 30 seconds. Let's see them dodge something that already hit them. The collective's response was hampered by more than just technological disadvantage. The human psychological warfare was unlike anything they had encountered. Instead of propaganda or threats, Earth's forces were broadcasting their entire cultural library into space. Millions of hours of human entertainment, literature, music, and art flooded the communication channels. The alien crews found themselves involuntarily exposed to everything from Shakespeare to death metal, from ancient Greek philosophy to viral videos of cats. The effect was more devastating than any weapon. Some species found human creativity intoxicating, their crews becoming distracted by novels and films. Others were horrified by humanity's capacity for violence even in their entertainment. The Thule contingent abandoned their posts entirely after discovering human cooking shows, fascinated by the concept of flavoring food for pleasure rather than mere nutrition. "Sir," reported Korthax's tactical officer, a six-limbed Vronak whose scales had turned pale blue with stress, 40% of our fleet is reporting severe morale problems. Some crews are refusing to fire on the humans, they're asking for more of something called anime. The true masterstroke came when Vasquez revealed humanity's actual population. The collective had believed Earth housed perhaps 10 billion humans struggling with overpopulation and resource scarcity. The reality was different. Humanity had been hiding their true numbers in plain sight. Every asteroid in the belt housed a colony. Mars had underground cities extending down to its core. The ocean floors of Earth itself contained more humans than its entire surface. "We number over 300 billion, Vasquez announced. "We've been preparing for this day since before your newest member species achieved spaceflight. Every human alive has been trained for war. Every child knows how to build a weapon from household items. Every citizen is ready to fight. We didn't want this conflict, but we've been ready for it longer than you've known we existed." The demonstration continued with Venus, a planet the galaxy had written off as uninhabitable even by humanity's standards. The thick atmosphere began to clear in patches, revealing not the dead world everyone expected but a thriving weapons testing ground. Humans had been using Venus's harsh environment to develop technologies that could function in any condition. As the acidic clouds parted, massive planetary defense cannons became visible, each one capable of accelerating projectiles to 90% of light speed. Admiral Korthax made a decision that would be debated in military academies for millennia. He opened a direct channel to Commander Vasquez, his four eyes focusing on her image. "You have made your point, human. What do you want?" Vasquez smiled, but it wasn't cruel or mocking. It was almost sympathetic. "We want what we've always wanted, Admiral. To be left alone. To explore the galaxy on our terms. To trade and learn without being forced into your collective. We want sovereignty." The weapons fire from both sides ceased, creating an eerie quiet in the vast battlefield. Debris from destroyed ships floated between the two fleets, a testament to the brief but decisive engagement. Korthax considered his options. His fleet still outnumbered the humans 3-1, but numbers had proven meaningless against an enemy that had spent the better part of a century preparing for this specific moment. "You could have conquered the galaxy with these capabilities," Korthax said, his voice carrying a mixture of respect and confusion. "Why the deception? Why let us believe you were weak? Because we studied history, Admiral. Our own and yours. Every rising power in the galaxy has been either absorbed or destroyed by established civilizations. We chose a third option. We hid our strength until we were too strong to conquer." Vasquez paused, letting her words sink in. "We don't want to rule anyone. We just want to exist without interference." The negotiation that followed was swift but comprehensive. Earth would maintain its independence and be recognized as a sovereign power. The hegemonic collective would withdraw all claims on human space and resources. In return, humanity would share certain technologies, specifically medical advances that could benefit all species, and would agree to mutual defense treaties against external threats to the galaxy. But the real change came in the aftermath, as word spread throughout the galaxy of what had transpired. Species that had been subjugated for millennia began to question why they accepted collective rule. If humans could stand alone, why couldn't they? Rebellions sparked on a dozen worlds, inspired not by human weapons but by human audacity. Commander Vasquez stood in her command center 6 months later, watching as the last collective vessel departed Earth's system. Lieutenant Chen approached with a report. The Vronak have declared independence from the collective, so have the Thol and 3 other species. The galaxy is changing, Commander. She nodded, unsurprised. That was always the real weapon, Lieutenant, not the ships or the exotic matter projectiles. It was the idea that being powerful doesn't mean you have to be a conqueror, that you can be strong and still choose peace. Earth's moon had been reassembled, though now its surface bore subtle differences that only careful observation would detect. Mars continued its weapons production, but at a reduced pace. The gray tide nanomachines had been recalled and contained, though their existence remained a deterrent to future aggression. Humanity had revealed itself to the galaxy not as conquerors or destroyers, but as something far more dangerous to the established order, an example of successful resistance. The Galactic Council that replaced the hegemonic collective included Earth as a founding member, though humanity's representative often skipped meetings to explore uncharted space instead. When asked why humans seemed more interested in exploration than politics, Ambassador Diana Ross would simply say that humans had spent too long pretending to be something they weren't. Now they were free to be what they'd always been, curious, wanderers who just happened to be very, very good at war when necessary. The galaxy had learned an important lesson about humanity. They were at their most dangerous, not when they were attacking, but when they were smiling. Because a smiling human might be genuinely friendly, or they might be counting down the seconds until they revealed just how thoroughly they had been planning for this exact moment. As Commander Vasquez had said in her final transmission to the departed collective fleet, "We are humanity. We extend our hand in friendship to all who approach in peace. But to those who come with conquest in their hearts, remember this day. Remember that we have been waiting for you since before you knew we existed. And we will be waiting for anyone else who makes the same mistake. The stars belong to everyone now. Humanity had made sure of that.